Now let's look at property lines. And to do that, we need to reveal our, bring our CAD file back up. And in our case, these red lines right here are our property lines. Okay, with property lines, there's two ways to deal with this, and you have to be in a plan view to do it. You can't do it in the 3D mode. You can do it by distance and bearings or by sketching. So let's talk about distance and bearings. Come on, mouse. There we go. Okay, and in here, you put in line by line the data from a survey or a survey plat. Let's see. Some of this was covered in the print reading class a little bit in dealing with site plans. So distance, yeah, distance is just that. So we'll say 100 feet. Okay, now in survey direction and notation, it deals with bearings, and it's always like either north or south. So in this instance, we're facing north, and my bearing is 90 degrees to the east of north, which in this case would be true east. But let's change that to 0, which now means I'm going due north. Okay, I'm drawing a line. I could do a line or a curve. If I have a curve or an arc, okay, then I have a radius, and then I have to know is it a left or a right. Okay, so let's insert another line, and let's go 100 feet again, and we'll go north 90 degrees east, insert another line. Let's go 150 feet just to change things up a little bit. And in this case, we want to head in a southerly direction. And if I go south 0 degrees east, that's going to mean I'm going due south. Okay. If I want to move, if I'm going, I don't know, I'm gonna change this to 10 degrees to the west, which means I'm facing south, and my bearing is 10 degrees to the west of south. Okay. Now, if you've got a table of survey data, you can enter all of them in here, or you can come down here and go add line to close. And sometimes you may get a table of survey data and you put all of that information in and it still doesn't close because it's off by a minute amount. So in this case, we would tell it insert line to close, so it's closed. So now I say okay. And then here's my property line that I just created, and I would move it wherever I need to on the site, because your surveyor is going to give you a known point that is the beginning, and I would recommend making that your survey base point. Okay, so I'm not going to place it, but I just wanted to show you how that worked. What we want to do is sketch them, because we already have some property lines from our CAD file. So let's go again, property line, create by sketching, and pick line. You could draw lines, but I'm going to pick these, and since I've already got them here, I'll go tab and select all of them and go yay. Okay. But by default, they do not show up in 3D. That's not what I wanted. I'm trying to move this thing. Okay, by default, property lines do not show up in 3D. Okay, back to my site plan. Let's hide. Golly, it makes it hard to select it now that everything is drawn. So let's just do this. Site plan Imperial DBG, and hide it. Oh, that hit everything. Let's do that again and filter. Come on, mouse. That thing always pops up. I keep hitting that when I want to hide things. All right, let's start over. Okay. Duh. Now I've got property lines here, and we need to tag them. And so to do that, we go annotate. Looking at my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything there. Oh, yeah. One last thing. Before I do that, I select the property line. Here in my properties, it tells me the area of the enclosed loop, okay? I can come up here and I can go edit sketch, and that pulls my sketch back up that I could edit it. Or I could go edit table. Woo, that's loud. And that will turn my headphones down. I can convert sketch-based to table-based. And if I do that, you cannot go backwards. Okay, and any constraints that you've put in there will be lost. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to say no, I do not want to continue. Okay, now to tag property lines, so we'll go annotate, tag by category, and pick one of the property lines. Now let's zoom in on that, and you can see it is set at degree, minutes, seconds with surveyor notation. Okay, north 85 degrees west. Okay, and of course, you know, all the options things up here apply also. So let's look at, we've got two different types of property line tags. We've got decimal degrees or degree, minutes, seconds. Okay, and so they're being decimal degrees. It's still in surveyor annotation because that's how our site settings are set up in here. So if we go to back to massing and site and go to here, and if I change this to just degrees, now that survey line is at 94 degrees from 0 being true north. Okay, and so all the lines around that way will be changed to that, and it doesn't matter because I had changed that over to decimal degrees. So if I go back to degree, minutes, seconds, it tells me that. Okay, but you're not going to find that very common. This is what you will find to be the most common way of doing things. Okay, and so we could continue. What am I doing? I want to tag the rest of them. And the orientation of the tags, you know, kind of depends on where you're placing them. Okay. Okay. So that's property line tags. Now let's look at contour lines. And let's go back to the massing site. And we're going to go label contours. And it's a label, so let's look at the options within here. Font and font size. I guess the big one that you may or may not use would be right here, label primary contours only. Okay. So we'll leave everything the way it is for right now. And what you do is you sketch a line that crosses the contours. And then you can see it labels those contours for you. Okay, and this line that we're seeing that's visible, that's because we're still in an active command. So if I escape out of that, the line is no longer there, but if I click on those to edit it again, it pulls it back up and I can grab the end of it and drag it. Now you can see where having every single one is a problem. So let's label primaries only. And so now, because we got our primaries set at 10 feet intervals, only those are showing. Okay, just for giggles, I'm going to back up so that all of them are showing. And now let's do that again, but this time let's draw from right to left. Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to change the way that the text was reading, because I have seen sometimes in Revit it would make them look in a weird kind of a way. So let's try another one over here because we got a lot more lines here. And in this case, here is where it would make more sense to do primaries only. Okay. And cross that so I've got my 0 mark picked up. All right, so there's pretty much everything we need to cover about site tools. There'll be other instruction for working through your project for this class, and then your project for the 1129 class will be a lot more involved. But this was to give you an introduction to all the tools. So if you have questions, come see us. Send us an email. Let's get together and talk about it.